got one of the biggest, well-known, and most famous people here coming on live here at BCB, and it is Sheriff Lamb. Sir Rick, bring Sheriff Lamb on.
Bam! There he is. Sheriff Lamb, how you doing today?
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
You know what? I couldn't be doing. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, but you know what? We're gonna fight through it, Sheriff Lamb. We're a little motivated, just like you are. Every day we got to go out and fight our fights. Our fights are with the computer, a little bit different than say what you'd have to deal with on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Hey, look, I learned a long time ago in this profession, audio visual always kicks your butt, no matter how prepared you think you are.
Oh, there's no doubt. Sheriff Lamb, so first of all, I want to thank you sincerely for being on our show. We're honored to have you. And, you know, we spoke last week, and I'm just going to jump into it. We have, you know, our audience are truck drivers for the most part, a lot of shippers and receivers. But I was talking to you about the truck drivers, and I went out and asked some drivers this question. Sheriff Lamb, I'm going to throw it to you because they need to hear this answer. I asked them how safe do they feel out there on the road. Most of them said they feel safe at a truck stop. You know, and that's an actual truck stop. But when it comes to that border area, they don't feel real safe, especially with not very much parking. Sheriff Lamb, the question is this: should our drivers today feel safe along that border?
Unfortunately, Rick, I don't think Americans in general should feel real safe. You're allowing over last month was 217,000 apprehensions, of the which they only sent back 15,000. Plus, you had 66,000 gotaways. Those are people that were seen coming across the border that they didn't catch. Now, that's almost 300,000 people that came into this country from somewhere else that we just don't know who they are, what criminal history they have, whether it's here or in their own country. And so I think on the whole, as Americans, we should feel a little bit uneasy with what's going on in our communities. Now, as it relates to the roads, that's a great question because I think in certain areas along that border, you know, or some of the inland truck stops, I've got several truck stops in my county along the I-10. I would certainly be a little bit more cautious just because you don't know what you're going to get into. Every one of those farmers down along that southern portion of the Arizona and ranchers have had a vehicle stolen at some point. These are folks that just made it into the country, and you don't know what they're going to do and who they are. So absolutely, I think your truckers should be cautious. Now, are we having calls for truckers being, their trucks being taken at gunpoint or any of that stuff? No, but I do think that there should be a heightened alert.
Hey, Sheriff.
A long answer for that, but.
So let me ask you a quick question, and we're going to get right to the meat of it. Article 47 is going to be repealed on May 23rd. How is that going to impact you and your staff and what you've got going on right there in your county?
I don't mean to correct you. It's Title 42, and Title 42 is going away. Now, Title 42 is instituted to send people back to Mexico because of COVID. Now, Title 42, as I gave you the numbers earlier, 217,000 people apprehended. They sent back 15,000 people, and they probably did that. Majority of that would have been under Title 42. What Title 42 does when it goes away is it sends a message throughout the world that our borders are now completely open. And so I believe you're going to see double the surge. I would not be shocked to see probably in May, June. June's a little hot, but I wouldn't be surprised to see 400,000 or 500,000 people trying to come to this country. Huge caravans, people showing up at the border at once. So not a good situation, and clearly our government just doesn't put America first.
I know that you actually service your county's pretty big, with almost 500,000 people there. And you got basically one person for every 1,000 people working for you. How is staffing affecting you to help control this problem?
Oh, look, I think everybody in law enforcement is a little behind the 8 ball on staffing, and not to mention, we've got, just in my area where I live, there's 8,000 new homes being built in here. But we haven't really planned. Well, we have planned. We've got to actually get with our board and try to keep up with this growth. But what it does is when you have that kind of growth, or when you have this size of a county, I have to make sure that people's communities are safe first and foremost. and then I can apply some resources to help Border Patrol with their mission, which is trying to stop humans and drugs from being trafficked into America. So we definitely have a staffing issue. I think we're doing pretty good for deputies. Where we really have a staffing issue is in the jail. So not to take any of you away from the trucking industry, but if you want to get into the detention industry, we're hiring.
Okay, it's good stuff. Hey, I want everybody to understand exactly where your county is. It's along the I-10 corridor right there at Eloy. Every truck driver in America knows where Eloy is because that's where all the truck stops are, and it splits off in 8 and then 10 continues on up. But I want to tell you, as we look at this, what can truck drivers do to positively help you out there? Because believe it or not, the kings and queens of the road know the road better than anybody else. I truly believe that out there. What can they do to help you?
That's a great question. I would say it's the old, if you see something, say something. You know, if you see something suspicious. Now, typically what you're going to see on the freeway is, even if it's 2 cars, one in the fast lane, one in the number 1 lane, but they're both driving basically the same speed, that is going to be of concern to us. Or 2 vehicles trailing each other, not passing anybody. That is also going to be of concern to us because typically when you have a major drug load, you'll have a vehicle that follows them. So if any police officers get behind the load vehicle, that other vehicle is designed to take that attention away. So they'll commit a traffic infraction and hopefully get pulled over instead of the load vehicle. But yeah, if you see something on the road that's suspicious, please call us. Let us come out. And better to be safe than sorry. And if you're seeing vehicles that are driving erratically or suspiciously, absolutely safe. We've got to keep those highways safe. It's not easy. We grew up around trucks as well. My dad had a trucking company, and so this is not foreign to me. And I understand how difficult the job is. It's only getting harder and harder the more people we have driving on our freeways. And they don't seem to care about the law either, so that doesn't help either.
You talk about some of these challenges. I want to know, what is the highest risk that you face every day? I know you don't feel the danger, but what really is the highest risk factor that you have out there in your county? Is it the drugs? Is it the smuggling of the human trafficking? What is the highest risk factor do you think you see for not only your people, not only your deputies, but also for the average citizen?
So I think the major issues that we're facing here in America, and I'm going to break this up into 2 just quick answers. I think the major issues we're facing here in America is the effects from the open border. That human trafficking and drug trafficking into this country, it's going to affect our economy. It's going to affect our communities. We're allowing criminals from other countries to come in here. We're allowing drugs, dangerous drugs like fentanyl to come in here. Now that parlays into the second half of the answer. I think the greatest risk that we face in law enforcement, obviously, you're seeing an increase in people hurting officers, shooting at officers, killing officers. That's of concern to us. But I'm really concerned about fentanyl. I mean, fentanyl can have an immediate impact and can kill us. It can hurt us. You could put powder into a room of people and it will kill everybody in there. So I'm very concerned about the risk that fentanyl poses, and it directly correlates to those same open border issues. But I think it'll be one of the major challenges. Clearly it is, because it is the leading cause of death in America for the ages of 18 to 45. So, and our country knows where it's coming from, yet they do nothing. Our politicians say nothing, and our media says nothing about it, mainstream media.
So, and these are coming in across the border. Where are they coming in across the border? Is it just rampant everywhere in any spot on the border, or is it coming in any particular areas that you see or identify as?
No, they certainly have their areas where they push drugs through more than others. And then you have areas where they're pushing bodies through. You got to remember, the cartel, they're making cash on these bodies, what we call bodies. These are the humans that they're trafficking in. They actually advertise in other countries for people to show up here, because then they charge them $5,000, $6,000 to come across the border. And when they do come across the border, they're collecting that cash in hand. And anybody out there who owns a business, which the majority of your listeners do, what is king in business? Cash is king. And the cartels are making money hand over fist. And so their need to traffic the drugs is still there. It's higher now than ever. But they're able to intermix that a lot easier because of the human loads that are happening as well. I would say Arizona is Just to give you the statistics, they estimate that almost 50% of all illegal drugs in America come through Arizona's borders. The other piece would probably be Southern California and then Texas.
Wow, that's significant and highly dangerous. So here, let's get down to it. You're actually talking to one of the largest constituencies in the United States in one area, and that's truck drivers. What can we do with our power of vote, our voice? If you had an opportunity right now to speak to those people, what do they need to be saying to the people up there in Washington? Because you're saying that they're not saying anything, they're not doing anything, and I think it's up to each of us to find a way to make that voice heard. And I'm telling you, you're talking to a big voice. You're talking to a lot of people that have the ability to call their congressman, have the ability to be heard somewhere, somehow, with whomever it is they need to speak to in Washington. They can make a difference. What if you had a chance to say something to them, what would it be?
Well, I would say thank you, first of all, to all those truck drivers who participated in the Canadian convoy and what they did up in Canada. That was amazing. We had a convoy come through our county the other day. Unfortunately, I was in Florida when it did, and I missed that convoy. I think that you're the voice of the truckers across this country. Most people do not realize that our stores and everything that we have in America and how it functions is due large in part and almost all to the truckers in this country. So thank you for what you do. Your voice still matters, and we need to let our voice be heard this year in this election. These folks, first of all, this is a battle of globalism. They are trying to globalize the world, and America is the last little burr in their saddle. So they're trying to they're trying to reinvent America. And then you have a class warfare. They're trying to strangle the life out of the middle class, create a pauper situation and an elitist. And so these folks are not listening. They're not. They don't have our best interests in mind. They don't have America First policies. And so I think we've got, and the truckers are a great place to do it. You guys go all over the country. You can speak to a lot of people. I think we've got to make sure, first and foremost, that we vote people in that will serve their communities, that will put America first, and that will understand that they serve us, not we serve them. And also, don't be afraid to send some letters to your congressmen, your senators, to post on your social media. That stuff matters.
Yeah, and you're also an elected official, so you understand how important it is that you hear what's coming on. And as we talk about it here, I think when we spoke in our first meeting, I'll tell you what really hit home was that this isn't an Arizona County problem, is it? This isn't a local issue. You're on the front lines facing these issues every day with you and your deputies out there trying to make a genuine difference. But really, this is affecting all of America, correct?
Absolutely. Everybody thinks this is an Arizona or a Texas problem when they watch on the news. And look, I go a lot of places all over the country. And they're all, they'll say, wow, that stinks for you guys in Arizona. It's like, no, we're just a pass-through point. We're just the loading dock. After that, the product, which is human beings and drugs, is designed to go throughout America. Whether the cartel takes them to your city or whether your own government takes these folks to your city, they're coming to cities near you. I watched a video the other day, and it was somebody talking to people as they walked by coming out across the border. They had just come across somebody saying, hey, where are you going? Probably 20 of those people. Not a single one of them said Arizona or Texas. One of them said California. Two of them said Florida. But everybody else said Illinois, Colorado, Iowa, all Midwest states. This is designed to take people throughout the country. It's the only way that the government can keep the American people from realizing the impact this is having on our country. And it is also designed by the cartel to distribute their product throughout America so that they can sell it in your community. And I'll just say, my slogan is, what happens in my backyard today will be in your front yard tomorrow. So what we do down here in Arizona, we feel matters greatly to not just our community, but to America.
Yeah, and as we talk about that, we really try to understand, and I think we're getting a better picture of it on a daily basis. But the human trafficking that you do, and these people that are coming across or being pushed across these drugs, we're talking about a lot of victims and a few really bad people, right? I mean, a lot of these people are victims, right? These human traffic people that are coming across, they're not coming across, and once they get across, they're not free to go about what they want to do either. I mean, aren't they coming across and also being like a form of slavery?
Absolutely. Our government's inaction and their policies are contributing to the mistreatment of not just Americans, but not more importantly, but also they're contributing to the mistreatment of these folks who want to come here and make a better life. Now, mind you, not everybody does want to come make a better life, and not everybody that's coming across is a good person. I would say, I spoke to a congresswoman the other day from another state. She was a Democrat congresswoman, and I appreciated her taking the time to talk to me. But she kept saying, well, what do we do about all these good people trying to come across? We need to let them in. And I said, okay, let me put it to you this way. If I showed up to you and I said, hey, look, I got 10 people I'm going to let into your house. 5 of them are good, 5 of them are bad. But I'm not going to tell you which ones they are. You're going to say, hell no, you're not letting those 10 people in my house. But somehow in America we think, well, let's go ahead and let everybody in because there's a few good people in there. And I would say that the numbers are probably even higher, that we are now allowing more and more nefarious people that have bad intentions to come into this America. We had people from over 160 different countries come into to America last year. You think every one of those people from those countries have their America's best interest in mind? No.
Well, and as you're down there, and I know you got them, they're coming from all over South America, right? It's not in Central and South America. It's not just one state or one area. It's everywhere, right? They're coming from all over the place, right?
They're coming from Russia. They're coming from the Middle East. They're coming from Africa, Haiti, Cuba. I mean, they're coming from everywhere. The majority of these folks come from different countries throughout the globe. What we get in our area are predominantly Mexicans because of the area where we're dealing with a place where the cartel pushes military-age men through in camouflage clothes, carpet shoes, backpacks. They are designed to avoid detection. We have a pursuit to 2 pursuits a day on our freeways when we're out working those areas. So yeah, the people we're trying to catch are not. They're trying to come in undetected. Down in Yuma or in Texas, those folks are what we call give-ups or layups, where they just walk across the border and then turn themselves in. And just so your listeners understand, of those people that are coming in, our government is giving them a court date from anywhere between 2 to 5 years from now.
Jesus.
That doesn't even make any sense.
Wow.
No.
That doesn't even make any sense.
That got some silence, didn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
And how effective is that? I mean, let's be honest. How effective is that in understanding and controlling what we really want? And Sheriff, in my opinion, and I don't know that it matters, but that all that much is in the long run. But what we want is a legal influx of people, right? We want them to. I mean, that's really what we're talking about here. We're talking about the opportunity, and we're not denying the opportunity of people to come here, but we want them to do it legally and with purpose, and not illegally, right? We want them to have not necessarily the means. We'll take you're tired, you're weary, you're poor, but we want you to do it right. We want you to do it the right way when you come in here.
Absolutely. Look, I know Rick and I, what we share in common is our families have spent a lot of time in Panama. My family has spent a lot of time I've spent time in Argentina, the Philippines. We've gone all over the world, and you know what? It's been nice to visit those countries. And I'm all about people coming here and make a better life for themselves. All I ask is that they do it the right way. That's all I ask. When I went to those countries, I did it the right way. And so we're asking the same thing. And I don't think that's too much to ask. But, you know, and at the same time, I just want to add this. When our government does not secure our borders, they are undermining the rule of law at its fundamental core. The first message they're sending to these people coming to this country is that our laws don't matter. At least you can pick and choose which laws matter as long as it aligns with your politics. And so I think that's dangerous, and it's reckless, and it also is unfair to the people who did do it the right way, and it's unfair to these people that are coming here illegally because you're putting them behind the 8 ball. They can't get a license, they can't get a job, they can't get insurance on their cars, so when they crash into your truck, they don't have insurance. These are all issues that stem from that flow of illegal trafficking into America.
Sheriff, I do appreciate you coming on today, and I'm telling you, this is an issue that's going to be ongoing, and we're going to have to fix it. I mean, this isn't something that we can ignore. This isn't something that's just going to go away, and we're going to, and unfortunately, usually in instances like this, and I'll tell you in all honesty, it usually takes a major calamity before we all realize, a massive tragedy before we all realize exactly the extent of the damage that's being done. We don't put lifeboats on boats till the big ones sink, right? And I think we're talking about the same thing here, but we all have to get the message out, and I appreciate you coming in here, telling us what needs to be done, and I encourage every listener that we have today to take heed to what Sheriff Lamb is telling you.
Sure.
Understand the difficulties that our borders are, the dangers and what's going on down there. Don't turn from them, but face these problems head on, and let's get with our governments. Let's get with our local, state, and federal governments and try to make a genuine difference in changing the laws and helping assist in these horrible problems that's going on. And I appreciate you coming here today, Sheriff, and shedding light on some of these issues. I am going to ask that if we have an opportunity in the future, we would welcome you back, sir.
Well, I appreciate it. If you want to come support me, you can go to AmericanSheriff.com. Also, I have a book, American Sheriff, Traditional Values in a Modern World. You can get that on Amazon, or you can also get that at AmericanSheriff.com, or on my wife's website, SheriffsWife.com. And follow me on Instagram is American Sheriff, and Facebook is Sheriff Lamb. Twitter doesn't matter. I don't use that anymore. And Truth Social, American Sheriff.
Oh, wow. You are just lining it up, man. I like it and appreciate it. Hey, before you get out of here, I'm going to ask you to do me one thing before you leave us. And I ask this all of our guests, and I'm going to ask it of you. Just say who you are, and then say Sheriff Lamb and County Sheriff of Pinal County, and then say you are watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Can you do that for me?
I'm going to try. See if I can remember it. Hey, Sheriff Lamb out here in Pinal County, Arizona. You are watching BCB Live, the safest station in America.
That'll work. We'll take it.
I like it.
We'll take it. Thank you, Sheriff, man.
What in America?
We'll take it, man. I do appreciate you, Sheriff. Hey, man, thanks a lot for coming on.
Thank you, Mr. Lamb. Thank you, Sheriff Lamb.
We'll
Be
see
good,
ya.
buddy. Appreciate that. All right.
Have a
Drive
good one,
safe.
guys. God bless.
Bye
Thank
now.
you, buddy. Drive safe, Dave. That was awesome.